as well as student loan forgiveness, which came out last week, which everyone's freaking out about, good, bad, indifferent, so on and so forth. We're talking about all these different topics. So if you guys have any questions throughout the entire presentation, just raise your hand. I've been in the world of college financial aid, admissions, and so on and so forth for about 25 years now. So I pretty much have seen it all, except obviously 2 years ago we had a pandemic that obviously was completely breaking. But everything put together, if you guys have questions, just raise your hands. If you don't want to ask questions in front of the audience, it's something personal in nature, perfectly fine. Just come up to me at the end, I'll answer any questions at the end, just come up. Or if you want, I'll also give you my contact information, my phone number, my email, so on and so forth at the end, because everyone always remembers something as they're walking into the parking lot. You can just basically email me later on, okay? That being said, let's start off by talking about, give you guys basically the outline, everything we talk about here today. So the FAFSA, the state stuff, the CSS profile form we'll be covering as well. There's a lot more scams over the last 2 years than ever before when it comes to financial aid, unfortunately. Like a lot more scams. So we talked about those as well because a lot more parents are falling for these things, especially the loan scams about people guaranteeing federal loan forgiveness or federal loan relief and all that stuff they call it. You're either guaranteed to get it, whether you work with somebody or don't work with somebody, or you're not. There's nobody that can actually help you get student loan forgiveness. So if anybody's calling you or emailing you, or the email is basically saying, you come work with us, we're automatically guaranteed to you, does not exist. You're either going to get it or you're not. I'm going to explain to you guys whether you're eligible or not in today's presentation, by the way. Also, we are recording this too, if you guys want to see it later on. The school's recording it, so you guys can watch it over and over again. That being said, let's start by talking about our organization. Actually started a scholarship program last year. Last year we gave away 12 $1,000 scholarships to different students at different high schools, basically throughout the country, because it wasn't just New Jersey students who were eligible for this, basically anybody. So if you want to be eligible for our schools or our scholarship program for senior students, it's very simple. All you need to do is basically go to YouTube, and we have this video you see here, the James Lewis Memorial Scholarship video. If you go to YouTube, just basically type my name in, Ed Zamora, and just go, as you click on search our videos, the James Lewis Memorial Scholarship, it'll explain to you how to apply for our scholarship program. Now our scholarship program works very simple. There's no essay, there's no community service, there's no volunteer work, there's no leadership, there's basically nothing. It's the simplest, laziest, easiest scholarship for you to obtain. What you need to do is basically go to our YouTube channel, you watch the James Russell Memorial Scholarship video, and it basically tells you to go and watch as many videos as possible, and just put the name of your high school and the year your student's graduating, and that's it. The way it works is, the way we fund the scholarship is through the entire revenues coming in from YouTube. So what I ask you guys to do, the easiest, best, and basically laziest way to help us basically achieve money more than last year, hopefully more than 12,000, is you go to the YouTube channel. This is what the YouTube channel homepage looks like. And on the left-hand side, it has a little button that says Play All. If you click the Play All button, you don't have to watch a single video, and you're actually helping us basically generate scholarship money. I have some parents that tell me in the morning, hey, I watched 50 videos last night. I know you just turned it on and went to sleep. I know you didn't watch a single video. I don't really care. The way it works is the revenue from the commercials that all of us basically skip as we're watching YouTube, that's what's actually funding the scholarship. Now, I'm going to be doing about 80 high school presentations this year, so I'll be doing the same presentation you guys are recording here. I'll have it on YouTube as well, so you guys want to watch it again on YouTube, just let the commercial run. Those basically will help this scholarship program for us. On the YouTube channel, I have scholarship, or actually videos about everything. Loan forgiveness, about Pell Grants, about how to find scholarships, about the student loans, how they work, the private loans, the federal loans versus the state loans. I have the entire process of Scarlet Guarantee, getting free tuition for Rutgers, how to establish in-state residency at out-of-state schools. I literally have 165 videos right now, about literally everything. So if you want to go on there, obviously if you watch the video, watch the commercial, it actually helps us give you guys more scholarships. And all that being said, let's jump into the big thing that's come out last week, the loan forgiveness. Now, you're either eligible for this or you're not. There's no becoming eligible. All these big scam companies telling you guys you can become eligible. It does not exist, you can become eligible. You're either going to get it or you're not going to get it. The way it works is if you have a student, or if you've taken out a Parent Plus loan, a federal Parent Plus loan, or if your students have federal direct loans. If your students have federal indirect loans, if you look on your lender who has your loan, it will show you direct loan or indirect loan. If you have a direct loan, you are not eligible for federal student loan forgiveness. If you have If you did not take out a loan before July 1st of 2022, you are not eligible for federal student loans. I have a lot of people calling and asking me, can we apply for the loan this year and get it? No, you cannot. The loan has to be originated before July 1st of 2022, which means, origination means, if your student's going into the fall this year, if they just started college, they're not getting loan forgiveness. Originated loan means the loan company basically paid your student's tuition bill, whatever it may be, through that loan. Now, if you have a Parent Plus loan, a federal direct Parent Plus loan, you are eligible for federal direct. You are eligible for loan forgiveness. So the two categories here are: if your student has their own federal direct loan, direct, not indirect, they're eligible. If you have a Parent Plus loan, you're also eligible for federal loan forgiveness. Now, the two cutoffs are: your student has to be making under $125,000 if they're a single individual. If your student is married, they have to be making as a couple under $250,000. That's adjusted gross income, by the way. Now, if you have another student who's already in college, you took a loan out last year or the year before, you can still get federal student loan forgiveness if a student is still in college. What they do is, instead of looking at the student's income, they look at the parent's income. Okay, so if you have a student right now and you guys took out federal direct loans, parent loans, or the student's loans for the federal government, you guys are eligible if the parents, you guys are together, if your adjusted gross was under $250,000. If you guys are single, i.e. you guys are divorced or separated or widow, and your income is $125,000 or below adjusted gross, you are eligible. Everyone else is not eligible. I've gotten phone calls and emails. I've literally gotten hundreds of emails and phone calls from parents saying, we got this company saying I'm eligible. There is nobody that can make you eligible. I even have 5 videos on YouTube explaining how this whole process works. A lot more time spent on that than we spend here with it. But if anyone says we can make you eligible, it is not true. This is not the way this works. Also, if anybody says to you, this is another one of the big scams we talk about in the videos. If you come work with us, we'll fill out the paperwork right now and get you guys loan funds. Complete lie. The paperwork is not available yet. It's not available until October, which is one thing I'll be talking about here about the financial aid forms. The U.S. Department of Education is very good at a lot of things. One thing it's not very good at is their website. I'll explain why they're not good at their website. All of you guys here, your financial aid forms, we'll move on to the next phase of it, so we're getting away from student loan stuff here. All your financial aid forms will start on studentaid.gov. I'll show you the website in a moment. I'm going to explain to you what I'm going to talk about in a second. On studentaid.gov, the U.S. Department of Education is sending everyone there for college. And what I mean by everyone, I mean the FAFSA people and any federal loans, as well as any federal loan forgiveness people will also be going onto the website, studentaid.gov, starting in October. Do not do any financial aid forms the first week of October. Most of you already probably know from your research, all financial aid forms become available starting October 1st for senior year. Do not go on there. I even have a video from last year and the year before student loan forgiveness was a thing, that the first week the site always crashes. It will literally take you 5 hours to do the FAFSA form, which will only take you half an hour. So I'll tell you right now, and repeat it again, do not do the financial aid forms the first 4 or 5 days. The site will definitely be crashing this year, because they're sending all the loan people for forgiveness, those who think they have it, may have it, and do have it, are all going to jump on there October 1st. With all the FAFSA people that are under the myth of, if I get on here first, from the first 1,000 people, I get some kind of prize. There is no prize. There's headaches, there's screaming, and just a disaster. I'll tell you that right now. Do not go on the FAFSA form the first week. It is always down. Okay? Just kind of like a little heads up here. That being said, let's jump on to the FAFSA stuff. As I mentioned before, starting October 1st, the form opens up for senior parents. If you're a junior parent or below, you guys aren't filling out anything. This is all informational for you guys going forward. Now, the FAFSA form is going to be seeing massive changes. It's going from 90 to 100 questions, depending on how you answer some questions. More questions are generated, by the way, down to around 40 to 50 questions. What they're looking to do by streamlining it is they're looking to utilize a tool called the IRS Retrieval Tool. Believe it or not, the FAFSA form is able to be connected to your IRS tax return. I'll show you guys in a moment how to do that. They're trying to streamline it and reduce the questions by getting more questions off your tax returns. That's how they're going to be able to ask you guys directly less questions. Now, besides them dropping down the amount of questions, they're also changing a lot of stuff on here. Unfortunately, good, bad, or different, still in limbo of which one of these things they will be doing and which one of these things they will not be doing, because essentially for last year, even though they were indicating these things will happen for your FAFSA form opening October 1st, they haven't implemented them into the system yet because they spent their entire time working on the public service loan forgiveness and the federal loan forgiveness and all the different scam for-profit companies that, that had in front of the students' money. They've been literally working on this for the last year on the financial aid front. So they may be doing these things, they may not, but very likely the ones that are not going to benefit you guys will probably be instituted. Unfortunately, it's just the way it works. Now, right at the top, one of the big changes they're doing is they're taking away the multiple students in college discount on the FAFSA. Now, this is something we've been talking about for 2 years now, so it's very likely to hit the FAFSA. And this is the way it works. Essentially, if you have one student going off to college, they will basically, whatever your income and assets indicate you pay. Typically, what usually happens is when you have a second student going in, they'll divide the amount you're supposed to pay for one kid into both kids. So let's say you fill out the FAFSA form. The FAFSA form said you have to pay $20,000 to send one student off to college. If you have two of them going in, you would still be paying $20,000, however, it'd be $10,000 apiece for each student. Does everyone understand? So multiple students equal discounts. FAFSA is getting rid of that discount. That more likely will still hit, unfortunately. A second thing they're getting rid of, and it's I'm already seeing it in the system because I'm already using the calculators in the system. Another thing they're getting rid of is the parent's asset protection. Now, what usually happened in the past, they would take the age of the oldest parent and multiply that by 1,000. That was what's known as your asset protection allowance. Let me kind of give you more details so you guys better understand how it works. If the oldest parent in the household, let's say he was 50 years old, that meant that you had $50,000 of asset protection. So if you had in your checking account, your savings account, so on and so forth, $20,000, $30,000, and you had no other money as far as investments or rental properties, so on and so forth, that meant your checking savings account money didn't count because you fell below the parent asset protection number. Does everyone understand? So basically a certain amount of money you guys have outside retirement didn't count towards college. They got rid of that this year. Okay? So that's gone. So those are the big two things. The third thing, they're still in limbo. This is the one I'm not so sure about. I have heard it's going to happen, I heard it's not going to happen because they're basically so far behind everything else. The third thing that's happening is if you are divorced or separated, on the FAFSA form, you technically, in the past, I'm talking about last year's FAFSA going back, were allowed to choose which parent's information you wanted to use. Because the FAFSA is going to ask the student about 10 questions in, are your parents divorced, married, remarried, separated, widowed, etc.? If your student indicates, i.e. divorced or separated, the next question pops up is, who do you live with 51% of the time or more? What they're changing that question to, instead of who you live with, they're going to start asking who provides 51% of support or more. So it used to be who lived the most, now it's who supports you most. So what they're looking to do, they haven't done it yet, hopefully you don't, because it benefits you guys if you're divorced or separated, is you're looking to utilize who's claiming the student on the taxes. That's what they're looking to do and figure out, can they put it into the system. It does not look like they're going to be able to because we're running out of time, because then essentially October 1st is basically in 2 or 3 weeks. So I don't think they're going to be able to do it in this system, which means you still will be, if you're divorced or separated, be able to pick very likely which parent's income and assets you want to use. Does everyone understand? Or at least the people who need to understand divorced and separated parents. We're good? Yes?
What if the parents were never married?
Well, essentially the way it works, if you were never married, then I usually just say choose a parent with less income. I always say choose a parent with less income. Like if you guys are talking, I guess you say, or they're like spending half the time over there, half the time with you, so on and so forth. But if the other parent's not in the picture at all, then essentially you just go with your information. Okay. Any other questions?
What if you alternate grading on taxes for students?
If you guys alternate going back and forth on the taxes, well, let me just explain this. Before this FAFSA, October 1st FAFSA, you get to choose which basically parent goes in the FAFSA. They did not care who claimed the student before. Going forward, they're talking about they do want to claim it, or they do want to claim the student, but it's getting so close to the deadline, it's probably going to stay within that 1 year, at least this year here, that you guys get to choose. And I always say the same thing. Just choose the parent who has lesser income, because that gives you a better opportunity for aid. Okay? That's kind of the way of looking at it. Okay. Any other questions? No? Okay. Which brings us to the first place you guys are actually asked financial aid questions. You've already been asked financial aid questions and didn't even realize it yet. Even though the forms for financial aid, the FAFSA, the CSS, the state form, don't become available until October 1st, on the common application, the application pretty much every one of your students is filling out, On here, every school, will ask them a question, are you applying for financial aid assistance? And every parent wants to know, why are they asking this question on the admissions forms? Do they care about this for admissions? And the answer is 95% of the time, they don't care. Okay? This used to be a question that would be asked specifically for schools that were need aware. You should write that term down, by the way, need aware. Schools are one or two things. They're either need aware, which means they care if you can afford the college or not, or they're need blind, which means they don't care if you can afford the college or not. Most colleges are need blind. They don't care if you can afford it or not. Some colleges, typically higher and liberal arts schools, are need aware, where they are looking at your ability to pay to help basically accept your student, let's call it. Now, if you're not certain, just call up the admissions office and ask them, are you need aware or are you need blind? If the school does say they're need aware, a lot of people think, well, what happens is we're doing need aware schools, let's say we're doing early decision, we're going to get locked in, so on and so forth. They're probably going to take our application and put it aside. It's not the way it works. When you're doing schools or you're applying for colleges and you're asking for financial assistance, you check off the box here in the Common App that yes, we need help financial aid-wise, we're applying for need-based aid. They don't automatically take you guys out and just say, okay, we're not looking at you guys, we're just looking at everyone who can pay the college. Not the way it works. Typically, you guys are at the tail end of admissions, and this is what I mean by the tail end. We got like 50 spots left, I got 400 applications. Who is saying they need aid? Let's pull them, look at everybody else, and then we'll bring them back in the mix. So you guys are still in the mix all the way from the beginning. Okay? Some colleges are more aggressive with it, some colleges are less aggressive with it, but the school says they're need blind. That basically means it's not going to help, it's not going to hurt. So also have the question, well, what if we indicate we don't want financial aid? Will it enhance your chances of getting in? And it doesn't enhance your chances as much as most of you think it does, especially if the school is need blind and doesn't care if you can afford the college or not. Okay? Any questions about need blind or need aware? No? Okay. Which brings us to the next biggest elephant in the room, the SAT-ACT optional situation, which has been a huge benefit and a huge disaster for students. Let me explain to you why the SAT-ACT optional has been great and terrible at the same time. SAT-ACT is basically every school in SAT-ACT, except for like a handful of them during the pandemic, because they realized the students either couldn't even get to the test, or didn't want to take the test, or didn't want to put students in, in a whole COVID situation of being in a room with a bunch of strangers on Saturday, so on and so forth. Now, the benefit of the SAT-ACT optional situation was it gave a lot of students who did very well in high school and did very rigorous courses, dual credit courses, IB tracks, AP, but just for whatever reason couldn't figure out the SAT or ACT, it gave them a shot at the higher end schools. That's what the SAT-ACT optional did. Unfortunately, what it did is it also flooded the entire admissions world. So schools that typically saw 30,000, 40,000 applications were seeing 50,000, 60,000 applications. UCLA last year received 147,000 applications. 147,000. Even if they threw every kid off campus at every UC campus, they couldn't even take half that many applicants on all campuses. The problem became that there's so many applications coming in. So, if you're looking to do SAT, ACT optional, this is, by the way, the website I would go to. Let me just raise this up a little bit. This is a great website, fairtest.org. It has a list of every school that's SAT, ACT optional. Now, obviously, the benefit here, if you guys don't have the score you want, if you talk to your guidance office, your college advising office here, if you've done an ambiance and everything else, you see you guys are below the number, or you talk to the admissions office, then yeah, more likely I would look to do SAT, ACT optional if I'm not at the median score number, which the school can give you. If I'm below that, then I'm probably not sending my scores in. But if I'm at that number or above it, I might consider sending it in because it is becoming a lot more competitive if you're not sending in SAT, ACTs. In fact, almost all of Florida, I know Kentucky, I believe Tennessee just came out and said, we want your test scores this year because they just can't handle the SAT optional anymore. Georgia themselves, University of Georgia, had so many SAT, ACT optional, or I guess total applications last year, they pushed more than half their early action applications into a regular pool because you couldn't even get to them. So SAT, ACT optional has been good and it's been bad, so there's always a good and bad for every one of these things, pro and con, I guess you call it. But if your student is not scoring well, good, bad, or different, there are still a lot of schools out there, most of them are actually staying SAT, ACT optional for another year or two. Schools like American, schools like Marist, schools like Quinnipiac, schools like George Washington, schools like Wake Forest, these guys were actually SAT, ACT optional before the pandemic. So they were already ready for the kind of situation coming in of the SAT, ACT optional students. And of course, one question that always pops up is, if we don't send our test scores in, is this going to affect us financially speaking? Are they going to give us less aid? And the answer in most cases is no. If the school is SAT, ACT optional, in most cases it will not use this against you for scholarship consideration. Okay? Some schools, though, because they had so many students doing SAT, ACT optional, they did either reduce their scholarship amounts for SAT, ACT optional students, in some cases cutting it down in half. So obviously we'll check with the admissions office. And the reason you check with admissions for financial aid, scholarship money obviously, is because the admissions office is the one that gives out scholarship money. Your financial aid offices at all your colleges have absolutely nothing to do with scholarship money. Okay? If you're looking to negotiate scholarships or ask about scholarships or see if we're eligible for them, always contact your admissions office. That's the department you want to handle. That's the department that handles all the scholarship information. Which brings us to, let's start talking about the cost of the colleges. Now, good, bad, or indifferent, I've been doing this 25 years. I remember the first time a college broke $45,000. And everyone I talked to, all my colleagues, of course this is decades ago, all my colleagues and everyone thought, once they hit 50, parents are going to revolt, there's going to be protests, people aren't going to take this anymore, and we went right through 50,000. Okay? I mean, we went right through 50,000. Right now, good, bad, or indifferent, everyone always asks me, especially for New Jersey students, and I work with a lot of New Jersey students, a lot of New Jersey, New York high schools. The reality is here in the tri-state area, good, bad, or indifferent, regardless of the national prices, for you guys here, if you guys can get a college to be under $40,000 a year, you're in great shape. Most of you guys here, good, bad, or indifferent, will be paying somewhere between $40,000 to $50,000. Whether you're looking at the $80,000 colleges, or the UPenns, or if you're looking at Columbia or Cornell, whether you're looking at Lehigh, Bucknell, Lafayette, even if you're looking at Rutgers, so on and so forth. Most of you guys, good, bad, or different, if you can keep the cost at $40,000 or below per year for that student, you're doing very well. Because the average student I see here over 25 years, and I probably work with, 2,000 families a year, usually the cost for you guys is between $40,000 and $50,000 for that student for every year they're going to college. That's like the norm, it's called. So you guys see this stuff on Newsweek and ABC and Fox and CNN and so on and so forth about students leaving school with $31,000 in debt. That's not from New Jersey. That's like Alabama. Okay, I'm just being honest with you right now. Those numbers do not exist for us, good, bad, or different. Unfortunately for many students here, specifically in Jersey, like nobody stays here. Like nobody goes to Rutgers. Nobody wants to go to Monmouth. Nobody wants to go to Montclair, good, bad, or different. I don't just mean this town here. I mean like every town in New Jersey. Anytime I say to a student, did you think about Monmouth or Rider or Fairleigh Dickinson, they look at me like I'm telling you to go to county. Okay? It's just, I mean, you guys are laughing, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. But that's the reality of good, bad, or different. So if you're looking for a price number you're looking to kind of be at or beat, it's $40,000. That's like the New Jersey average for you guys. If you can get a college for under $40,000, giving them the major, and the campus, and the social life, you guys are doing very well, believe it or not. Now, the reason I say that is because the new normal is not $50,000. The new normal is basically 70 and above. So if you can get it at 40, you're basically looking at a 40% discount. And I know we look at these numbers like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. $40,000 a year is a bargain. But it is kind of a bargain. Because the reality here is, if you're looking at UDEL or UPenn or UConn, you're all looking at $50,000 and above. It's just the reality. Now, there are discounts or opportunities for more aid, so on and so forth, if you guys kind of go down in tier. Or, if your student's able to go to the highest tier schools, they drop down a tier, there is more scholarship money. It all depends on kind of the fit you have for your student. Now, I tell students and parents all the time, you have to have 3 fits to your academic, to your list, basically. You got to have essentially the financial fit, the social fit, and the academic fit. Now, the social fit is when the student goes on campus, do I like it or not? Does it make sense to them? The financial fit is you guys here, the parents. You guys have to make sure that your student understands the situation. Now, $40,000 is a number that you don't feel comfortable with, because obviously over 4 years, we're talking about $160,000. It's a conversation you have to have with your student. Which kind of brings me to kind of the gray area with a lot of parents don't want to kind of deal with it. What I see happening, this happens for 25 years plus every year. You guys say to the student, where do you want to apply, and just let them apply. And you guys come to the financial aid night, you guys call me, you watch YouTube videos, talk to the friends and people at soccer matches and so on and so forth. How are you guys paying for it? And try to figure out kind of by hope, prayer, or whatever you want to call it, how can we afford this every year? Now, if you guys don't think that $40,000 is reasonable or don't want to pay $40,000, you have to have the conversation to do it right now. Not right before early decision or early action, restricted early action deadlines, like right now, you look at the list and figure out, does this list make sense financially for us? Especially if you have siblings, or your student has siblings, because if they go to a $50,000 or $60,000 college, the next kid in line is not going to look and say, okay, I want to give mom and dad a discount. Why did he or she get to go to 50 or 60? Why can't I go to 50 or 60? And now we're not looking at $160. Now we're looking at $300,000. You've got a third kid, you know, God bless you. Now you're looking at $500,000. Now I say this kind of half jokingly because the biggest issue I see every year is not me helping out with an essay or the guidance office saying to you, you can't apply to the school because it makes sense, or your college advisor you're working with, or your SAT tutor saying we can't get a score. All the stuff you're dealing with now is not the issue. I'll tell you that right now from 25 years experience. The biggest issue I've had every year going forward, from probably my 4th year doing this on until now, is always the same thing. When you guys graduate and that $1,500 bill comes in, a $2,000 bill comes in, and your student starts realizing, you know, I thought I was making a lot of money, maybe $60,000 or $65,000, but after taxes and after my student loan, I have $300 a month. I can't leave the house. I'm living in Hoboken in a 2-bedroom apartment with 5 guys. This is the reality of the kids right now, I mean, for the students in the audience right now. So you have to realize that the one thing the student does not understand, and the student will never understand this, no matter what student I talk to, they will never understand this. They do not understand the numbers. They get what 40,000 means as far as numerically, but realistically speaking, if you look at your tax return and see you make 150,000, then mom and dad are rich. You know, they could definitely take 40,000 out of 100,000. They could definitely take 60,000 out of 200,000. They don't understand what insurance is, a mortgage, your braces, so on and so forth. This is why you have to take them off the ledge, essentially, is what I'm trying to tell you guys here. Everyone always asks me, you know, what if I can send my student to this college or that college? Realistically speaking, in 25 years of me doing this, and all the information I have, and all the people I've talked to, and so on and so forth, most of these colleges are all the same. They're all the same. There's maybe 4 or 5 colleges out there that would change a student's life. All the rest of them are exactly the same. The $20,000 college, the $40,000 college, the $60,000, $80,000 college, they're all the same. I'm telling you right now, there are people that go to Harvard, and Columbia, and Stanford, Notre Dame, that are working a $50,000 job right now, 4 or 5 years out of college. Because not everyone that goes to Harvard gets to work for Goldman Sachs or BlackRock and so on and so forth. It's not the way it works. If you guys don't feel comfortable spending these amounts of money, you have to tell your student this now. Once acceptance comes in, it can't be, well, let's see what the aid package is after you've just told them, let's apply and all the work they put in. You got to have a conversation right now. Okay? The reason I say that is because it's a lot easier for your student to be annoyed with you for 2 weeks. It's a lot harder when they're calling you every month, Mom, I can't pay the phone bill. I can't pay the light bill. I'm 2 months late with the student loan payment. What do? That's when you have a big issue. And by the way, there is no, after the student loan forgiveness, the lender's now going to become 10 times more aggressive. Because for 2 years, they couldn't get any interest payments for you guys on the federal side because they knew that no one was going to refinance because the interest rates on the federal side were at 0. Student loan companies are going to be looking to increase profitability. They're companies, they're public, so on and so forth. I'm just giving you the environment out there, what's going to be like for you guys, good, bad, or different. So let's talk about financial aid and how it works. Right off the bat, there's 4 parts of financial aid. So when you guys go to the college and you're talking to the admissions officer or the financial aid officer, and you're wondering, why does everyone keep saying, yes, we're going to get financial aid? They know nothing about us. They don't know if my student is male or female. They don't know if SAT scores. They don't know if she has any extra activity. They don't even know if we're going to apply. But always, everyone keeps saying they're going to give us all this money. Because all of you guys, when you go to these open house and college fairs and you keep hearing the term financial aid, you guys are speaking 2 vastly different languages. When a college says financial aid, they're saying to you, we can give you grants, scholarships, and loans. When a parent hears financial aid, they hear grants and scholarships. Does everyone understand? Okay. So when they keep saying, this is how much financial aid we give, we're so generous, and so on and so forth, when you're able to get a one-on-one with a financial aid officer, what you want to ask them is, I know you guys give out all this financial aid, but of all this financial aid, how much of that is gift aid? You should write that down, it's a very important term. Gift aid is scholarships and grants. You cannot incorporate loans or work programs in the words or the term gift aid. If you keep using the term financial aid, they keep thinking, these people want loans, we can